Oh, the guy on a motorcycle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That dink.
Dink? Is that what we call him? That was like dual income, no kids. Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's the thing. You haven't heard that?
No.
Yeah, dink. It's like a couple that decides not to have kids, and so they're really rich.
Oh, okay. No, I thought it was just DINK, which is just another slang for wiener.
Well, yeah, it's that too.
Yeah.
So I think it just works out. Anyway, I'm Pat.
I'm Jeffrey.
This is Coffee Before Bed.
Yes, it is.
The podcast that now has an hour and a half time limit.
That's correct.
Yeah.
It'll be hard capped. You will hear the 5-minute warning
Yeah.
go off. As a matter of fact, if you'll excuse me.
We're at 45 seconds already. So make your adjustments to your calculations there, Mr. Spock.
Fine. Shut up. Right, it's fine.
All right, topics for the night.
Well, you don't have to just jump into it. You can do that with a little bit of tact, because I know that.
You just call me the fuck out.
What you talking?
You want me to get my clipboard?
What's going on? You fucking secretary? I don't like.
Yeah. Just gonna homer the Simpson the police
doing, man?
Get away with it because you're Homer Simpson.
You wish.
You wish.
No, it's quite all right. As a matter of fact, I think it might be a decent enough idea just to, decompress for a moment. Do you need one of those things to clean your glasses? I can grab one for you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I have downstairs on my work.
They're downstairs in
yes.
the work environment, so I'll just shout at you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Or I'll sit here and interview your dog.
I'm still here.
Yeah, Jeff is still here. He's walking away. Kinsasha is looking forlornly at him.
Well, it's true. I am more than 6 feet away from her, so.
Motorcycle.
Yep.
Well, thanks, man. That's awfully cool.
Of course.
So anyway, decompression.
Yeah, it's the first thing to do would be, of course, to relieve yourself of any pressing thoughts that have been pushing on you for, the past few days, or
Any pressing thoughts? No, it's been pretty quiet, man. I did watch the first 2 episodes of the new Stranger Things today.
I haven't seen it at all, so you gotta tell me what that is, what it's like.
Have you seen any of the old ones?
I watched all 3 seasons.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. You know how the 3rd season got a little weird with the Russians underground?
It was a little over the top.
Yeah, so this one, I almost guarantee it's going to be that way, just looking at it already.
Oh.
So, yeah. And so it's full of, like, this really odd angst, these angsty points in time. And I think some of the characters actually went back in time. Because, like, yeah, they're, like, back in high school, but I thought they had, like, graduated and had fucking jobs. So, I'm confused.
Wait, aren't there, like...
There's the older group of kids and the younger group of kids. And I thought last time the older group of kids had graduated and they got, like... The one chick got a job at the newspaper and the dude was a photographer there.
Well, all right, so some of them, like, literally moved on.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that I know. So there was that one girl who's never eaten a thing in her life. Did she disappear?
Winona Ryder?
No.
Millie Bobby Brown? The
No.
L girl?
No.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, so the
Yeah, she's like the reporter, and she like went off, right, to like college or something?
See, and that's where I was confused about, because I thought, like, they decided, like, they graduated, like, 2 seasons ago or some shit. And then they were out there working in the world, but now they're talking about going to college again. And it's like, okay.
I don't.
I'm confused. So
I don't know, man. The last episode I saw, that was before COVID. So, I mean, that's all
right. Oh, the thing did have a warning on it today too.
Oh no.
Well, the opening scene is all these kids get massacred in the laboratory. And so it had like a little blurb due to the events that happened in Texas the other day.
Oh, fuck you. Oh, for God's sake, man.
You know, it was just like, well, we filmed this a long time ago, so we didn't really mean it.
Jesus.
And it's like, come on, man. Extend some people some credit.
TV.
Yeah, it's TV. So, but yeah, the first two episodes, I watched them both. And so Millie Bobby Brown looks like she's about 30. Um,
Yeah, well, don't the other boys look?
the one like really skinny kid with the big honker.
Yeah.
So he looks like awkward 17-year-old Mike.
Yeah.
He might be 27, but that guy has never picked up a dumbbell in his life, and he's
Right,
never put anything
right.
bigger in his mouth than like maybe a half a slice of pizza.
Right.
So, and it looks like it. So he's got knees like my kid, because she's at that like awkward age right now where you have these really skinny like thigh bones and these really skinny shin bones and these big knobby knees. So,
Yeah.
and they got him running around in shorts in this thing, and it's kind of like, kind of painful actually. I forgot how short shorts were back in the 80s.
Yeah, I got some pictures of my dad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're mid thigh.
Mid thigh, and they got the little cut in the side. Yeah. So
Yeah, the
tennis shorts.
the Jack Trippers. Yeah,
The Jack Trippers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think my dad ever wore a pair of those. He kind of jumped right from the 60s to the mid 80s, maybe 90s.
Actually, that's
I don't think my dad ever had like a leisure suit.
I can't speak to that for my
Yeah.
father. He may have,
Yeah.
but there's no
I think my
evidence.
dad did.
What I can say is, was your dad like mine? Did he play a little bit of Air Force softball?
Oh yeah, okay, so yeah, he probably
he
did have
wear
a pair. Yeah,
he did wear the short shorts. I guarantee it.
Yeah, he did.
That was
So-
part of their uniform.
Yeah, no, he played first base. So
There
because
you
he was a
go.
lefty. So there you go.
All right.
Yeah, but the season, I don't know. So they're trying to set up the big bad, but it's almost like you're doing the exact same thing that you did last year so far. Let's see if this one's any different. So there's an outcast kid who gets in trouble right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And kind of filling that Billy role. The kid who was at the lifeguard kid.
Yeah, the kid that kind of turned it around, who at first was kind of a bully, but ended up being like part of the team now.
No, he died. The one that got eaten by the monster. So,
Oh.
and became the monster. And then tried to separate himself from at the end. To save his
Oh,
little
that's
sister.
right. Yeah. That's
Who's
right.
trying to fuck that dude's wife. Yeah.
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 Well, yeah, it's been a while since I've seen that.
I know, man. I had to actually watch through the entire fucking recap thing. I was like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah, I have fragmented memories about that show. I remember liking it.
I liked the first one and the second one quite a bit. I think the third season was like, all right, this is okay. You're just looking for things to tour on the '80s playground here.
Which season? Which season did they fight the giant monster with like fireworks?
That was last year. That was
Okay.
season 3.
Okay.
Yeah, that one was a little bit much. Yeah, it was fine though. I mean, it's goofy TV, so. But it's been 3 years, thanks to
Feels
COVID.
like it, yeah.
Yeah, and so some of the kids do look substantially older. So
I saw a photo. I saw a photo of them, and it's just you're all adults.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're all supposed to the younger kids are all supposed to be like just entering high school.
Mm-hmm.
It's like no, no.
It's like y'all have been in movies since this show came out.
Yeah. Yeah, they have, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I know one of those gangly, little kids was in the new Ghostbusters, which
Oh.
I haven't seen. I don't know. I just don't care.
The last one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Afterlife. I don't know.
Afterlife. Yeah.
I'm sure it's fine, but I don't know. I saw the 2016 version. I'm like, what you guys do from here is on you.
It's on
I'm out.
I'm done. It's over.
You asked me not to be in this fandom politely, and I said, sure. I took my hat and my coat and said, I will find something else to watch, guys. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It looks like there's 7 episodes out there now.
Yeah, aren't they doing the, 2 seasons?
I don't know. Will was saying something along those lines, but I was looking at the old ones. The old seasons were only 7 episodes long too. So I don't know.
I think that's what they said. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean,
Yeah.
I know why they do it, too.
Well, it's probably the only thing that's propping up the shit show that is Netflix at this moment.
Well, there's another reason why they do the seasons divided into two parts is because you need new episodes or more episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do a season and you're like, okay, well, we'll just do a 10 episode season instead of two. Remember how they did the Breaking Bad little shtick? So the reason they do that is because if you go to another season, right, instead of saying we'll do one season, then everybody gets to renegotiate in between.
Oh, so you just rather lock them all in.
So you do one big season.
All right, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, just from money
It's
perspective.
always, there's no art, dude. It's just business.
Yeah. So, but I think that there's definitely a piece of it that's a little bit like you can tell that they're going to drag it out as much as they possibly can with this one. Yeah, because like even the first two episodes, like you don't even really get a hint that something's kind of weird until like the very last few minutes of the first one. Otherwise, it's just like, hey, here's what all the kids are doing now.
Right.
Come check it out. This is what's going on with these guys. These are the setup for this plot line over here. Blah, 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 blah.
Well,
Here's all the people that you knew from before. Here's that
Yeah.
guy, that weird bald guy who speaks Russian. You know, so he's back. Oh, and here's the other dude's Mormon girlfriend. She's in it too. You know, yeah, and it's like, okay.
Go ahead and resituate yourselves, guys.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So
You remember what it was like? What is that? What is the street? It's not Rainy Street. It's
Rainy Street.
what street is it that they live on? It's I can't remember. It's I don't want to say it's integral to it, but it's like famous to the setting. I can't remember.
I don't know. I know the town is Hawkins. I don't remember the street.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Matthew Modine's back in it. So
How he was dead.
I think so, but it was like a flashback kind of thing. So he doesn't look like he's aged at all. So
All right, fair enough. But
yeah.
I thought he was
I
dead.
don't think that guy's as old as like I remember him being. So
Pat, in my mind, he's anywhere between like 35 and 65.
yeah, okay, I'm gonna
Which
put
is-
it about there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just depending on what weird '90s movie I'm seeing him in. So
What have you got?
oh, for Matthew Modine, it's been a while. What's the last movie? I think the last one that I saw him in was Memphis Belle. I watched that not too long
shoot,
ago.
I don't
Yeah,
remember if you saw
when
that.
Sean Astin's in it when he's fucking tiny. So, he's like
You got
in
me,
between
man,
Goonies and being Samwise Gamgee, man. So it's kind of like even before Rudy kind of days. He's so skinny in it.
Wait, he was in that. He was in that show too, wasn't he?
Who?
Him.
Sean Astin?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, he got
He
wrecked.
died.
Yeah, he died.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
He bought it.
he bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's pretty close to. He might be 50. I think he's just a touch older than we are. So
Bro, I don't know what to tell you. Like, so you started talking about before this episode began, we talked about misplaced people of Middle Earth, and we were talking about the new ventures of this and that. But it's funny to think back about the Good trilogy and how far back that is now.
20 years. Yeah. So remember when the Two Towers came out in 2001? Oops. Or no, it might have been the next summer. I think it was the next summer.
I think it was the next year.
Yeah, it was the next summer. It was still called the Two Towers, and everybody was like, "Well, are you going to change the name?" And he's like, "No, why would I?" You know?
It's like the book came first.
Yeah, the terrorists win then.
Yeah,
The jerks.
Theirs fell over. Ours came first.
Yeah.
They should name theirs something else. Yeah, and it's not like just the name of that book had anything to do or had any kind of similarities with the events of September
no, it has nothing to
11th.
do with it.
There's nothing, Tolkien saw about, radical Islam or a parallel therein.
The fuck was that Bruce Willis movie that came out like 2 years before 9/11? 2 or 3 years?
Day of the Jackal? I don't know.
No, not Day of the Jack. That's the one where he shot Jack Black. Yeah. with his own fucking gun.
I think so, yeah. No, the original was Day of the Jackal. The Jackal was
The Jackal,
was the
yeah.
Bruce Willis one. Okay.
No. It was Bruce Willis, and it had to do in New York, and there were terrorists, Islamic terrorists, and didn't they have to cordon off like half the city in that? And so they had like these concentration camps in fucking Central Park. Do you remember that?
Oh boy, this
I
is.
vaguely remember such a movie existing.
I feel like this could.
Pretty sure it had Tony Shalhoub in it. Not as a taxi driver, too. But it was a couple of years before. And so I don't remember where this came up, but it came up on a podcast I was listening to not too long ago. They talked about how there was this whole movie, and the guys on the podcast couldn't think of it either, and I still can't think of what the fucking movie is, but I do vaguely remember such a beast existing, where
What the hell was the movie about, though?
it was about terrorism, and Bruce Willis was like an FBI guy. No, he was an army guy. So, and then Tony Shalhoub and Denzel Washington was in it, if I'm not mistaken, and so, or it might have been Wesley Snipes. No, I think it was Denzel.
No, it was Morgan Freeman. No, it was.
Was it Morgan Freeman?
No, I don't know. You're just running.
Oh
through-
yeah, no, he was a black guy, all right, from the '90s, all right. So yeah, it was not Samuel motherfucking Jackson.
No,
So yeah,
I could have been Mario Van Peebles.
it was not Mario Van Peebles. That's a pretty obscure guess though.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence Fishburne. I don't think he really came back around until The Matrix. He was off the radar there for a long time.
Well, you say off the radar. He was just doing movies that we weren't watching.
Well, yeah, he did like fucking Othello or something.
You did? Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually saw that version.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because we weren't watching those movies doesn't mean that he was out.
Right, that's true.
That shit happens all the time. It's like, oh, I got drummed out of Hollywood. You go to IMDb, he's been in 60 things.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's been at the Shakespeare Company for the last 4 years. So, yeah.
Well, I'm just talking about like actual like major productions. That kind of shit happens all the time.
Yeah.
So
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that
because
one.
I'm trying to think of like Wesley Snipes. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know, Passenger 57. I don't know. Like,
Oh, no, I remember that one, though. Yeah. I do remember that one. I can't remember, but it was dumb. And Bruce Willis was actually the bad guy in it. He was this army guy who just went kind of nuts, and they were torturing people. That's the thing that was interesting about it. They were torturing people before Abu Ghraib was a thing, and so it turned out to be kind of prescient. So I don't think they were waterboarding people. I think they were doing it with the clamps and the car battery. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, they might have been waterboarding them. I don't know. So, yeah, I remember that one.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not ringing a bell.
Okay.
But you're talking about. It sounds like what you're discussing is there's a period of, I don't know, mid '90s to 2005, just a lost 10 years of movies that are completely forgettable.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that everything was shitty. That's not fair. But there's this period in there where you wouldn't watch it because they weren't dramatic enough to be worth your while. But they were also in that period where, because the CG in them was so poopy, like they seemed like they were neat at the time, but you'd never go back. Like, when's the last time you watched Dragonheart with?
Oh God, Dennis Quaid.
Well, and
weren't we supposed to fight him or something?
and Sean Connery, yeah, as the voice of the dragon. But I mean, like, these were the things that were supposed to be like these benchmarks of oh, this looks so cool. Immediately forgotten about because all it had was like, well, that dragon does look kind of neat.
Yeah,
Kind of doesn't, but it also, like, you know, for the time.
the only thing I remember about that movie is the standoff where he's holding the sword to the roof of his mouth.
That was cool.
It was kind of cool because he was like, "Hey, can you get that out of my teeth?" And it's like some dude's arm. It's a little slapsticky. But
No, it was
yeah.
good. Honestly, I thought that movie would be. I was actually really looking forward to it. I was like, this really seemed like it'd be up my alley.
I
But
think I saw it in the theater with Kevin.
I think you probably did.
Yeah. It kind of seems like a Kevin kind of movie.
Yeah, definitely.
But there were a couple others like that too. I mean, he dragged me to see 13th Warrior.
Oh,
So,
yeah. And
actually, you might have gone with that.
I did not go with it.
Okay,
I saw
sorry.
that movie
Yeah.
later on.
Yeah.
I had a pack of friends that were like, "This is the coolest movie I've ever seen." I'm like, really? Think so?
13th Warrior?
There's a pretty strong fandom for. Look, there's a strong fandom for people. There are plenty of people like Starship Troopers is the most important satire that anybody's ever written.
That was definitely Kevin's thing. So
Oh
Starship
yeah,
Troopers.
this is the same people. It's like, the most underrated movie of the '80s is Ice Pirates.
Ice Pirates. I don't think I've ever even seen that.
Garbage. It's the same shit.
It's Orca.
We've talked about Orca.
We have talked about Orca.
We got nothing to say about Orca.
No.
But no, that's the that is. Remember when I drew the Punnett square of
Stupid Smart?
Yeah, this is a movie that seems smart to stupid people.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
That's Starship Troopers for you.
I mean, it's so bad, dude. Like, all right, first of all, I think that movie still holds the record for most ammunition ever fired in a movie. Like actual ammo.
Possibly, I don't know. It could have been overshadowed by something else.
Well, the thing about it is that like that whole scene where they're defending the little fucking constructs fort.
Yeah.
The erector fort is like all the guns in that were actually filmed with like actual. I can't remember. I don't know if they're M16s or something, but it just had that plastic piece over it.
Oh yeah, that's the same.
And so they were actually firing not real bullets, but with blanks.
Yeah, it's the same thing they did in Aliens.
Yeah. And so there was. I don't know or remember where I saw that, but it was only a few years ago, and I think the record was still standing for that movie. So, but it's also like it's so stupid, man. So this is just the way it is, boys and girls. You better suck it up and get used to it. It's like you're Doogie Howser, man.
Look, man. All right. The problem I have, and look, this is no offense to you, if
Some
like
kind of brain bug.
All right, hold on. All right. And again, I will not hold it against anybody where it's like, well, if you came to me and said, well, I kind of like the bug shooting, I'm like, all right, fine.
Yeah, okay.
That's fine. Some of it's kind of fun, and things like that. But the problem is they point to this being super intelligent, and satirical. It's like, look at the way Verhoeven used those colors, that are reminiscent of Nazi Germany. It's like, yeah, fucking, it's obvious. I get it.
Well, it's very obvious. In fact, I think he was trying to make it as obvious as possible.
Right. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay. You don't have to point that I got it the first time. Okay. But the problem with this here is, again, this is billiards. Okay. You don't worry about the leave. You make the shot first. Right.
Right.
And if your A story, okay, if your presentation of the overarching story, the thing that you draw people in here, is rock fucking stupid, I don't care how satirical it is.
Yeah.
Right? Because the people that you got here can't act. Right? They're not really likable characters. Everybody here is a cardboard cutout. And if the A story doesn't succeed, I do not give a shit about your satire, because that doesn't matter.
Right.
You're wasting my time. If you're going to go in there and do a full-on satire, then do that.
Do that.
Right?
Do it well.
But don't present this as like, oh, well, they're acting badly on purpose. Like, no, they're not.
No, they're not. They are bad actors.
Nobody. Where are these people?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, who is it? It was
like Casper Van Dien.
Casper Van Dien, and whatever the fuck ever happened to him. I remember, like, in the mid-90s there, he was getting ready to blow up.
Yeah, and then it just turned out that so there are guys where you look at their first few performances, like, that kid's got potential. He's going to be great.
Brendan Fraser. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Brendan Fraser did have a kind of a storied career. I'm not going to shit on him too much.
He disappeared and got fat. So
He was fat.
Yeah.
Like, he was always, like, on the verge of
Right, he
of
really
getting
had to
there.
work to keep the weight off.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he just went for it. But
Who's-
yeah, that
Gary
was
Busey's son was in that movie too.
yeah, he was.
You're right.
And so was Denise Richards, who
Oh,
can't
Denise
act.
Richards, yeah.
And
Who turned into the Charlie Sheen sideshow.
yeah, and I don't remember the name of that
She was a Bond girl once too, wasn't she?
yeah, she was.
Okay,
And she played like a nuclear scientist. It was so stupid.
Right. Well, they all do, yeah.
Well, no, some of them are just straight up like, "Hi, I'm a whore that works for the bad guy. Let me show you my card."
Yeah, card carrying whore.
All right, darn.
Right, yeah.
Okay. I think that
You got
kind
a
of
union, you got like a local on there, you know? You serving as president this month?
get your teeth taken care of, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the other girl that played Dizzy, she was
The redhead?
yeah, she was in Friends for a few episodes. I don't remember anything else that she's been in. Then
I
of
don't
course
even remember that.
you have god awful Doogie Howser being Doogie Howser
Being
because he
Doogie
doesn't
Howser.
have any other range.
No, he's never not been able to be Doogie Howser.
You have that dude that was future AC Slater that gets stabbed in the butt and has his brain drunk. I don't even know who that is.
I know you're talking about that.
I don't even know who that is.
Brain drunk.
He does.
Yeah.
With a fucking
with a straw.
yeah. So yeah, the bug takes out the Slurpee straw and actually
It's a foldable surface straw. Yeah. This is so ridiculous, man. Yeah.
yeah. And then, of course, the only guy that there's two guys in there that you like. Of
Michael
course,
Ironside
and Clancy Brown.
and Clancy Brown.
Yeah, and he's over there like whipping you Nazi style. I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But your A story sucks. It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's just fucking dumb. It's not. You can't write off all these terrible things to just say, well, like the movie is not smarter than me. It's not.
It's not.
It can't be. It's
No.
smarter than you.
It's smarter than you. That's a good title too. When the movie is smarter than you.
Look, and I've been to movies that outfox me, right? It makes me mad.
Yeah.
So that's the shit where I'll walk outside, go straight back to the ticket counter, and like angrily, one more for this, please.
Right. Yeah. When is the last time you got outfoxed by a movie? Oof.
The last movie that
Like a twist at the end, or is it just like after you get done with it, it's like I don't get it. So what do you mean by getting outfoxed here?
when I
before
get
ask you that?
outfoxed is when I can clearly tell that this is, and again, take this for what it is, okay? It's not necessarily that it outsmarted me, but I could tell like you are clearly trying to deliver something. You were doing it effectively, but I missed it, right? And I feel like there's something here that would have explained where you were going with this, right? If I were either paying close attention or this merits a second watch, right? And I think the last movie that just full on got me was No Country for Old Men.
Oh yeah, okay, that's a good one.
And it all hinges on those last two sequences with his family member and then the dream he has. And that's where and actually the discussion he has with the other Texas sheriff.
But he's like uncle, the old guy.
Well, there's that, and there's also the one where he's talking to the local law enforcement, where
Oh yeah,
and they sort of break down the way things are changing. It's like, I think I get what you're driving at with this,
right.
and then on the second view, I'm like, okay, I really get where you're driving with this,
Yeah.
and I still missed some things,
Oh yeah.
and so that was not a I'm mad, I'm gonna go back in here, but it's just like I wish I could have caught this the first time. But you have to be, again, it has to be good.
Yeah, I guess the last movie that I literally had to sit down and watch again after I just finished it was probably There Will Be Blood. I did not get the movie, so
You know what? The same thing with me.
yeah, okay.
Okay. But I will say I wanted to watch it again.
Oh, me too. I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? I was like, do I have 2.5 more hours? Yeah, I do. Let's do this again. You know. So and still, I mean, it's still kind of like. And the ending is so out there. You know?
There is a sense of like, are you fucking?
It's like, are the cops coming or not? You know, is it that kind of movie?
To their credit, man, they're like, no cops.
No cops.
No cops.
Yep, no
Yeah.
cops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that does happen. And like that's if you're asking me to put up No Country for Old Men against goddamn Starship Troopers, like don't do this. Don't.
You're right, yeah. No. Well, I hate it when a movie's getting so far up its own ass that it's trying to be profound in a way that is just it's beyond the grasp of its audience. So I don't like the other opposite extreme of that. You know.
I understand. Look. So I'll always respect like going for something, but it doesn't quite land because you try. But
Sure.
If the whole thing is, if your approach to doing this is basically putting together a collection of things that you've seen other directors do without knowing why they did them, then at that point you're just saying like, I'll try spinning. It's a good trick, right? It's
Sure.
you're not. You don't understand why you're doing this. This is the whole. Okay, so, perfect example I can give you is when I watched the Aronofsky film Mother. Okay, that as far as I'm concerned, that guy has one great film under his belt. It's The Wrestler. All right.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't overstep its boundaries.
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it has a story to tell. It has a journey that it's going to take you on. This is a very character driven. This is where he succeeds. When you do a movie that is 75% metaphor that you can get in the first 5 minutes, and the A story doesn't land, you're like, oh,
Yeah, maybe not.
sake, man. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. What we were bagging on Clint Eastwood movies last time, weren't we?
yes, we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they seem like they've gotten to that point in time too, a little bit. I don't know, man. So at least the last two that I watched.
Well, I could say that. I wouldn't say that Clint Eastwood's recent outings have been terribly like symbolic.
Mhm.
I would say. Shit, I don't think. I'm trying to think of it. Like, if there are metaphors in them, they're pretty extended. They're so. Let's if we're gonna talk about good work, all right? Do you want to just go straight back to Unforgiven for a second? Okay.
Sure. What is that? Like 94 ish?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we're going to talk about that, there is an extended metaphor in Unforgiven,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that is not at the surface of it. That is not what the story is telling, right? But the extended metaphor would have to be what? A death of the idealism of the West?
Yeah, it's the end of the West. It's the Red Dead Redemption thing.
Yeah. Right. But that is not what the story's about.
Yeah. I mean, well, and they didn't even do it in that one as well. Like in what is it, The Shootist, John Wayne's last movie. That one is about the death of the West.
That's
Very much
exactly.
so,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
point of the movie.
Yeah, that one's very on the nose.
Yeah.
So Unforgiven kind of has that. So, but yeah, you're right. It's really a revenge story. So, really when it comes down to it, yeah.
It is or it isn't. I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
there's when you say that it's a revenge story, I mean that's the path it takes, right? But really, what it's about is about a person trying to overcome
Right.
his own past,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but his past is coming to get him. So, that I guess that's what I mean by that.
There you go, Unforgiven. Right.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But he's done other ones since then that were pretty good. $1 Million Baby is still one of his best.
Delightful,
So,
but
yeah.
I don't. There's nothing in there that I could say that it's an extended metaphor for, except for like it deals with an issue,
Rather shockingly at the end, yes.
right? It deals with an issue.
It was like, oh, I thought this was a boxing movie.
I kind of when I see it, I'm like, I want this to be a boxing movie.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Give me my Rocky back. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I don't know, man. So we'll see.
Mm. But I did have a question,
Mhm.
right? Just, especially if we're talking about, Death of the West, that sort of thing here. Um, it seemed like you'd had guns on your mind recently.
Yeah, but I don't really think I haven't really had a chance to completely percolate that.
What are you trying to process here? Is there something like a thought that's kind of
Well, the only thing that I've been thinking about it lately is that like so when Will was here the other night, we were talking about how like the debate instantaneously gets red flagged, and I don't think red flagging is the right word. It's more like red caping, like you pull a bull away. I guess
okay?
that's what
Yeah,
I meant
yeah, yeah.
by that one, and so so whenever like the gun issue comes up in one way or another, and I was seeing there were a couple things today where they're going to try and do something in Congress. It's not going to pass, of course.
Can't.
No, it's
No.
not possible. I mean, especially given the Senate and where it's at and stuff like that. But even if they do stuff on the state legislatures, which they might be able to do here and there,
Which I'm fine with.
yeah, I don't have a problem with it
It's a
either.
state level, man.
Yeah, it's a state.
Do
Let
what
the
you
state
like.
do what
Yeah.
they want. But the whole like there's like always these defenses that come from one side or the other that have become such tropes now that they're 100% predictable.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing, well, actually I wanted to ask you about this, about like the hardening the schools thing. So I never worked in a public school as long as you did.
Mm.
So, but I mean, like, what's the argument against not having like your schools be like airports? Because I remember like the high schools around here had fucking metal detectors, and I know in like most urban settings they've had them for years. So so like, all right, so what's the argument again? Is it just that it's like, well, I'd rather people do gun control because I think that'll make for a better society, and so I don't want to do that solution. So in favor of my chosen solution. Or is there like literally something pedagogical where you don't want to have TSA dudes at the front and back of your schools? Or is it just a money thing? I've never really heard an argument against that was, anything more than it was just like, well, it's just like the teary-eyed teacher kind of thing. It was like, well, that's not what school's meant to be, and I get that. Okay,
right.
fine. I was an educator too. Still am, sort of. you know? But there was definitely an element to that where I just didn't understand. Okay, so what makes that argument so bad, and why wouldn't we at least do something like that first? All right, and then so that's one side, and then the other side is like people on the other side of the debate was like, well, let's arm all the fucking teachers and shit like that, and let's make sure the best defense against a gun is a well-armed and informed citizen.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And they talk about like, well, guns are protected by the Second Amendment, blah blah blah, all this stuff, but nobody ever makes the argument that like guns are just fucking cool on a certain level.
I think some people do.
I think
And
some
that's-
people do, but nobody takes that one seriously. But I mean, I'd be really, I mean, like anybody that I know, all right, who's owned more than a gun, you get a gun and you keep it in the dresser for your own defense.
Right.
So, but anybody who goes beyond a gun, all right, obviously has some kind of affinity for these things.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, and so it's like, well, hey, man, okay, fine. You take away my guns, I'm going to take away all your football cards, or something. I don't know, So,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe that's not a good equivalency. There's probably quite a bit of overlap between those crowds.
No, the
but-
question is why does that person do these things? And if it's in the same spirit as football cards, then I have absolutely nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think everybody on one side is really good about, diverting the attention away from that and not just resting on that argument in its own right. Which, quite honestly, I don't see a problem with defending that point,
Yeah, there's no pathos to it, though. You'll never see that argument in a professional debate because there's...
Yeah, you're right. There's no pathos to it. That makes sense. So...
But if you're talking about, okay, so the first thing that you want to address here is basically, metal detectors in the schools, right?
Yeah.
And, the weepy-eyed, well, this is not what education's supposed to be.
Yeah, I know.
Right, I got it.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, the same argument goes like, well, you didn't used to need these to get on a plane, did you?
Well, and that's what I was thinking as the equivalency. Nobody seems to have a problem with getting on, well, I mean, airport security's a pain in the ass and it's kind of for show too. But I mean, okay, so how many times have 11 psychopaths with box cutters, crashed two planes well, it happened once in the last 20 years. Okay, so obviously something's working there, all right?
Right.
So,
Right.
and then the other thing about it is like, all right, so, like someone pointed this out that like virtually every every mall shooting, every whatever shooting is basically a suicide run. It's designed as a suicide run. There is no escape plan ever. So,
Well, hold on though, but they do often. I would say what 50% of the time they do manage to capture the.
no. It's like almost none of them.
At the last two.
The last two? The one in Texas, he dead. Yeah. No, they're both dead, man.
No, they got Buffalo.
Okay, maybe they got Buffalo guy.
Yeah, they got Buffalo.
Yeah, that's because dudes tackled him. So if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, yeah, but those weren't cops. Those were just people who were like, "Fuck this, let's roll, man."
No, of course. Obviously, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the guy didn't intend to kill himself. Okay.
can't tell you.
Yeah. Well, and see that's
Well,
it.
well, they
Is
got-
that, like
yeah.
almost all of them when they actually go through it and they actually like deconstruct what actually happened and go through the fucking angsty notebooks and whatever and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Almost all suicide runs. So, in fact, almost all the school shootings. I think there's only been like 2 school shootings. One of them was that one in Florida, like 5-6 years ago, where the one cop just grabbed the guy, while he was trying to reload his gun. in
Yeah,
the
I remember
stairwell.
that. Yeah.
And then there was another one a while ago. I can't remember. And then there was a guy in Houston or down in Fort Hood, Texas. I think they grabbed him too, but he had fully intended to like blow himself up or some shit. But
I
they,
think so.
yeah,
And what about the fellow here? The theater shooter. They got him.
yeah, you're right. They got him.
I don't remember whether or not he'd planned to.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I don't know,
I
man.
feel like I should know, but
the Aurora one.
yeah.
God, that one was a while ago now. So I don't know. I don't know the details behind all, but the vast majority. So like easily over 85% of them,
yeah.
are designed as suicide runs and ultimately succeed in that.
Yeah.
And so like if that's the case, all right. So if basically you're having kamikaze runs going on here, you'd want to harden that target first, because like all right, so. Okay, maybe we can use like social media, to like screen all these dudes out and stuff like that. But I mean, like Will's point the other day, it's just like, oh, there's no fucking way, I mean,
Right.
if you're gonna talk about every 17-year-old angsty boy who doesn't know what he wants to do in the next 2 years, doesn't have a girlfriend, has a shitty job, all right, his parents are like broken up or something like that, and all he does is play Call of Duty in his basement. That's going to be a pretty fucking long list, man. So,
Well, there's that, and that's the problem here is those things that you just mentioned. None of those would be decent indicators
No.
because at any given time, there's 100 million people going through those same,
absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So
That's my point, is that it's like, and each one of those, even if you had a full combination of like 10 factors that score high on that list, there's still correlation. None of those are causal.
no, the only ones that really have anything to do with each other, we know what those things are, but you'd have to have documented evidence of like cruelty to animals,
Right,
starting
yeah,
fires,
cruelty to animals, starting
that sort of
fires.
stuff. Like, and if you know that, then you know that.
Mhm.
And if you don't, then what the fuck are you gonna do? It's
Yeah.
like you're gonna go around every neighborhood and say like, you guys, is there anybody in your neighborhood that's known for doing this kind of stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I don't talk to my neighbors.
Right, yeah. Not anymore. Yeah. So yeah, I know, man. And so it's just it seems like it's like kind of a no-brainer, but it's also it doesn't address the issue that people want addressed. So
Which is
well, in one case it's like some form of fucking gun control. You got to take the guns away from these psychopaths. And the other side, it's like, oh, we need an entire like fucking mental health care infrastructure out there, kind of thing. And
Oh
stuff.
yeah, and then you have the other side where it's like, an armed population is a polite population.
Hello, Unforgiven.
All right, gotcha. No,
Devil's
you,
got snake eyes.
no, that's fine. It's like, oh yes, we can solve this with platitudes. That'll do.
Oh yeah. Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah. Well, so first and foremost, I think one of the problems that you're having here is, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the things you're laying out here on Front Street is that 85% of these people, where it's like, why do you have guns? Well, because they're cool, right?
They're cool, yeah.
You don't hear that argument, right?
Right.
Even though it's a lot of the argument, right?
I'd say it's the majority of the
Exactly,
argument.
but you're not going to hear that.
I mean, you're not going to use guns to take down the fucking like our National Guard, man.
Well, I'm sort of flipping on that.
Really?
Yeah, I sort of am.
I don't think you could find a situation in this country. I don't know. I mean, in theory, it could get so bad at some point in time, but it's just not even trending in that direction. Where if you actually had a National Guard unit, first of all, these guys come from the community in which they're going to go attack. All right, and second of all, at that same point in time, I can't imagine a situation where someone would be like, "Go in and clean out Pennsylvania." Can't see it, man. So,
Well, let me-
the army would be like, "The fuck you say?"
Look, I'm just going to. There are certain things that again, we've talked about this before, which the way that things worked out really demonstrated the health of this country, not the opposite. People saw this as sort of a doomsday scenario. I did for a moment, but the fact of the matter is, when we had communities with streets on fire, okay, mass rioting in the past 2 years, okay, and a quote unquote insurrection on the the Capitol,
Yeah.
right? I'm gonna tell you, in other countries, okay, there would have been lots of detainment, lots of ass whoopings, lots of shootings, both from the government and from the private citizens. Didn't happen.
Well,
Okay.
if you had a country where you actually had an armed citizenry, that is an extremely rare thing in the world.
I understand.
Yeah.
Look,
So, like, most people, like, turn to the police. Well, you guys got to do some shit about that.
I totally understand.
Yeah, okay.
And what I'm saying here is the armed citizenry did not come out and say, I'm going rioter shooting, right?
No.
I gotta tell you, I kind of expected that to happen at one point, but it never did.
I don't think the armed citizenry is, like, some kind of, like, hive mind, fucking Minuteman kind of, like, thing out there. The armed citizenry, I bet you if you take 10 gun owners out there, fucking 6 of them are people who just like guns. All right,
Sure.
So it's their version of baseball cards. 2 of them are hunters, and 2 of them are these avid dudes who,
2 of them are talking to like-minded individuals in Montana.
in Montana,
Okay.
yeah,
And
and loading their own ammo in their basement.
they do. And
Yeah.
they talk about certain things in their clubhouse, and a lot of that discussion is going to center around, like, can you believe,
Right. Yeah.
And then the list of complaints will be about how these type of people have now moved into these neighborhoods. Okay, I got
this
it.
flag has
Right.
fringe on it.
Yes, it does. No, that's fine. But the bottom line is, when push came to shove, they didn't come out, and they didn't organize, and they didn't shoot the shit out of a bunch of people in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
Does that surprise you? See, that doesn't surprise me at all if they didn't come out.
It absolutely surprises me.
Oh, really? No.
Yes. And I'll tell you why. Because there's a presentation of this group as being nothing but bloodthirsty, waiting for the opportunity to shoot people, right?
Yeah.
And if you're telling, and look, I was practically in the position where, like, I'm thinking, like, if I really wanted to, right? This would be the perfect opportunity for me to go out there and plug some really annoying white people that are speaking on behalf of minorities, right?
Okay.
These are the people that they would most happily put bullseyes on if you're sitting in the
Yeah.
Montana militia. Okay?
Yeah.
All right? But it didn't happen.
No, because most of those
Didn't happen.
Montana militia guys, they don't care about the rest of the citizens of the country. They're concerned about the government.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is they're painted as these bloodthirsty.
Oh, yeah. No, that's totally false.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when the opportunity was there, it didn't happen.
Right.
So what that told me was your presentation of these people is all wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I'm not saying I endorse any side in this. I'm just saying, like, all right, if you keep presenting these people like this, you're not doing anybody any favors, right? As a matter of fact, one of the biggest problems that comes on right now in moments like this is you have the two dumbest contingents of the political spectrum painting each other in the broadest fucking strokes, saying like, oh, well, so you would really love it, you know, if the government came in and marched in on these people. It's like, no, I didn't say that. It's like, you'd really love it if you got the chance to shoot minorities. No, I didn't say that.
I didn't say that
It's like,
either, yeah.
All right, great.
Yeah.
So we have to do this every single time, huh? So the dumbest people are trying to negotiate legislation when it comes to how this stuff works. And it happens every time.
Yeah, and so I guess that's my lament right there, is that it just seems like yeah, immediately after anything like this happens, those two sides just come out and they just throw paintballs at each other.
Yeah.
And then nothing ever really, like, seriously, I mean, like, how much would it cost? I mean, if we stand up a TSA with fucking 50 dudes in every airport in the country, it's gotta be doable to at least put up 2 guys in every school.
Look, I can make that even easier on you.
Yeah.
Just make that something where they are separate from the school. The schools don't have to pay for it. This is just like
Yeah,
a
make it
federal
like
thing.
the ESA. Get a part of
There
the
you go.
security
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
there you go.
Have them wear like bright blue shirts or something. I don't know,
Absolutely.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just seems like something that's just like almost like a no-brainer. And I mean, you can see it in schools that actually have suffered from stints of violence, especially from the students.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've done this for years. So, you know, but then, yeah, you just try and turn it into this, like, super huge, extremely complicated, oh, let's build a whole fucking mental health care system with its own, like, facilities and apps and tracking systems and shit. It's like, fuck that.
Fuck you.
Yeah, and the same thing, it's also like, oh, well, let's make sure that we concentrate on getting rid of, like, all these, you know, high-capacity magazines or ARs. And I was like, you can't do that either, man. I mean, like, literally, there are more guns than there are fucking cars in this country now. And so, I mean, like, it'd be like going around everybody's house and taking away their fucking TV, man. I mean, I'm not talking about, like, just like, the principle behind that. I don't care. Just the logistics behind that is impossible. Okay, so yeah, it's just impossible. You know, it's just it's so silly, and ultimately, like, it results in this thing is that these things keep happening, and we've gotten more and more inoculated to the point in time where we probably will not be talking about this at all within another week.
No, I guarantee it.
Yeah, there'll be something else, you know. So I'll be 2 more episodes into Stranger Things when we talk about that.
You're absolutely right. You know, or we're going to be sitting there, it's like, oh, check it out, fucking Will Smith hit somebody else.
Oh yeah,
You know,
right.
whatever, right?
Will Smith is gay. You know?
Oh my God, you can't believe it. No,
Oh my God, yeah.
It's
Yeah, I don't know, man. So yeah, it's just it's really interesting that it just keeps coming up again and again and again. You know?
No, it's not going to change. Look, and you
It's
know
kind
what?
of a feature. Yeah.
Part of this in me says it's supposed to be this way. And I don't mean this in a, like, again, here comes the hyperbole where it's like, oh, so you don't care about the... Of course I care about the victims.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
Right?
Come on.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, anybody's living that accusation at you is like being completely disingenuous.
I mean, what I can tell you is, all right, so this is a big deal, okay? But I can also flip this around and say, like, well, here's the real numbers, okay? I can tell you where we are in terms of first world societies with gun violence, we're pretty high up there. I can also
Oh, yeah.
tell you that I can name 5 cities that if you took out their gun violence,
Yeah.
we would be at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, we'd be pretty damn low. Yeah.
So we can sit here and bitch and moan all day about, like, this happened in Texas, but I'm going to tell you that's not the real problem.
Right.
All right? So I'm not going to jump into that because it's like, all right, well, this is your dog whistling racism. I'm like, fuck you. I'm not.
No.
All right? But if you want to talk about, gun violence, talk about gun violence. Talk about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But don't just...
Talk about suicide. So,
talk about...
yeah.
Look, there's a lot of people, they still... Look, this shit
I
happens.
see so many people with the suicide statistics and the gun violence statistics. It's like, those are two separate things. I get it. Okay, you can count them as one.
Oh.
But that's not what you mean.
Right.
That's
not what
it's not what you mean.
Right.
Yeah. So be genuine, authentic about your argument here.
You're only doing this to try and boost your numbers, and I get it, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. But that's not helping the argument. Even if you convince somebody and say, like, all right, this comes in a little bit stronger, it's like, yeah, but that also means if you get your way, it won't solve the problem.
Yeah.
You will have to blame it on something else.
Absolutely.
Which is utterly stupid. And that's why I'm starting to wonder if the gun debate is part of the inherent culture of this country, and it has to be.
It might be. Yeah. I mean, there's always been like there's always been like a part of the country that sees guns as like a necessity in one way or another. And the other part that kind of sees them as like a luxury. You go out and you shoot pheasants or something back in the 1800s.
Certainly.
Right?
When it was a gentleman's pursuit.
When it was a gentleman's pursuit, yeah, we're gonna go out and shoot some skeet or something like that.
Quite.
Or duel, whatever.
There was that.
There was that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then there's this other element to it where it's like tool. It's like, oh, this is a saw. Okay. Yeah, I need this. And as some of that need has actually gone away, then it's revealed the ugly parts of the country where it is still necessary. And so, and we look at some of those things and we say, okay, yeah, we can't run around with unarmed cops in this country. That's a terrible idea.
And
yeah, so,
there are certain truths to this kind of thing where as long as this segment of the argument exists, then there's going to be a problem. So let me say it to you this way, all right? You and I both know that this country is not the same as others. It is huge, right?
It's enormous.
And unlike a lot of the, packed in places where they've been lived in for thousands of years, right? Where you could sit there and theoretically put cops in these kind of places, and they do, right? Well, they have a different culture, right? The bottom line is, I know who I am. I know how many weights I can lift. I know how much I can run. And I also know that on average, your average woman is significantly weaker than I am.
Sure.
And so as long as that remains true, okay, then I think there's still an argument for guns being in the population.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's not for me to sit there and say, like, okay, well, all men are predators. No, this is also a stupid way to take this argument.
No, that's not the right way to look at that. But, like the fact that some men are predators does, like, lends support to the fact that we should actually have an armed population.
Or at least the opportunity for it.
Exactly.
Right? There's absolutely nobody forcing you this, and there's absolutely no way to have a police force on hand that can handle all of those things at once. And
well, and it's amazing how much like the cops actually do, considering how few of them there are.
Correct.
Maybe like not in New York City where it's like basically the size of the fucking Marine Corps, but
it's the fucking, it's like its own branch of the military.
It is, yeah. So, but like here, I mean, we've only got a few hundred cops in this entire town of what, 600,000 people now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive if you think about it. And then, like even like last was 2020 because we didn't have too many of them last year, but even the riot times and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, cops were like, "We're not gonna run in there guns a blazing.
No.
Cordon the motherfucker off and watch what happens over the next week."
That, again, that's where I
Cops are
argue.
fucking smart too, man. At least some of them are. I don't know about those guys in Texas, but we'll find out more of that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too great. But but that's the thing is like, because when people bring up the arguments, they say, well, I live out here where, you're afraid of bears. I'm like, I got it. Most of the country doesn't. But I will say that most of the country has a severe disparity between the size of men and women. And that's enough of a common ground between the very farthest part of the West Coast to the very tippy tip of Maine, where you can say that's always true.
Yeah, that's always true. Yeah.
Right. And so if you have some sort of, solution around that, okay, all right, I'd like to hear that.
Oh, well, they'll say all kinds of shit. I see that all the time where it's like, oh, well, like train everybody in jujitsu and stuff like that. It's like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Or yeah. I'm like, okay, so, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go spend thousands of dollars on lessons when I can go out there and spend $250 on a 38 special.
I agree.
Yeah, kind of thing. Or it's like, well, just put more cops on the street, or light places up a little bit better and stuff like that. It's like,
Okay, lighting places up.
yeah, no, these all
that's
these are
fine.
great. These
Yeah.
do not plug all the gaps, though.
No, and of course, then the other side is, you'll see Twitter awash with this. It's like, well, then we need to treat men not to be rapists. I'm like, well,
How the fuck are you gonna do that? Yeah.
99.98% of us aren't.
Right, yeah, 99.99%. Yeah, exactly. It's like, all right, so first of all, okay, let's identify those like 0.001% with enough fidelity. Okay, at this point in time, it's not just that creepy guy who asked you out twice and you didn't like him.
Right.
It's so like who here actually has a statistical probability of raping somebody, and then we're getting into minority report territory anyway.
Oh no,
Fuck that shit.
No, you're missing the other point of this. Is what you really have to ask yourself is whether that 0.01% of perpetrators will respond well to in-class construction about this, and
They're gonna do restorative justice.
well, because what you're asking is, will that 0.01% of guys be like, was gonna rape, not gonna
Not gonna anymore.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah.
My mistake.
I didn't know rape was bad.
Yeah, my mistake. I feel like they should have told you that on the first
yeah.
day, or given you a book.
Kind of like diversity training. It's like,
Yeah.
you know what? You're right. I shouldn't treat black people differently. So
I was gonna.
I've said you guys help me out so much.
The last place I worked, that's how it went. But but now I know, right?
Now I
so
now you know.
yeah. Here's a that's the thing is.
It's so ridiculous, man. So, I mean, I don't know. On a certain level, things just aren't going to change. And so, okay.
Well, which is...
It's been trending positive anyway. Everybody's, I know we get a back-to-back spate of things like this, and the news media goes bananas over it. So,
I know.
Especially during slow news cycles when Donald Trump decides not to actually do his speeches and things like that anymore. And it's just, it's like really, I don't know. It's just, every time one of them comes up, it's almost predictable exactly what's gonna be said, the platitudes that are gonna be given, thoughts and prayers. The president's gonna fly there, whoever he is, at that point in time. So they're gonna talk about things. You're gonna have a little debate. Maybe a state or two decides to ban a certain type of assault weapon for another, year or two. Fine, okay. Maybe it gets a little bit harder to actually, like, I don't know, get a 30-round magazine.
You remember when Tech 9s disappeared?
Yeah, I remember. Well, and I was thinking about that the other day. So, like, even before I started buying guns, there was the assault weapons ban, which was the Brady Bill, like 95 or 94, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and that was the reason why, like, Chad at the airport had that G3, and he wouldn't give it up because it was on the list, and it was all grandfathered in and shit. So... but then it was during, I think it was only like 4 or 5 years later, the ban like expired. So now you can get them again, or at least you could then. I don't know now. It's just kind of like a revolving door, but it's just like, okay, fine, I'll buy that one instead, right. Yeah, there's just so many. And like, even like the Sandy Hook one. So with the whole Alex Jones things in like the lawsuit that basically wrecked Remington, which was one of the oldest gun manufacturers in the United States. It just broke up in other companies, and so now like these guy over in Texas the other day was using these guns that were made by like one of these little local kind of like specialty dealers and stuff. Like you got one right over here. They'll machine your own AR for you. I know, man. So that's like 5 blocks away, you know. And so like even like the lawsuit thing, it was like, well, we'll sue the gun makers. It's like, okay, fine. So you just took a big ship and broke it up into a whole bunch of little ones that you can't catch now. So great, that worked.
You made your point.
Yeah, that worked. So, so I don't know, man. It just seems like an extremely easy problem to solve on certain levels, but just nobody wants to solve it that way. So it's just not satisfying for anybody.
Well, okay, so there's absolutely 2 approaches on this, and you're absolutely right. So when you solution is such a loaded term, right?
It would make it a lot more difficult for things like what happened in Texas last week to happen.
Totally understand.
Okay, I can't say the same for supermarkets and shit like that, but I guarantee you, like, there's something qualitatively different about a dude walking into King Soopers in Boulder and blowing away 10 people, as opposed towards a kid running from the cops into a school, barricading himself in a 4th grade classroom, and machine gunning all the kids. Yeah. There's something qualitatively different about those 2 things.
Totally understand.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I'm not. I have absolutely no dispute with you on this, and it's just that the quote unquote solutions, and again, they would be solutions by a definition or another, right? Would require way more overreaching, sweeping measures than are realistic within our legal framework.
Yeah, I don't even think they're palatable. So, people wouldn't even put up with that shit anymore.
That, and the unintended consequences of it would be massive.
Oh yeah, yeah. You imagine if they went down like, the mental health route, and so everybody's got to sign up with, mentalhealth.gov now. See how fucking easy that would get trolled so fast, man.
I'd be doing it.
I know you'd be doing it. Everybody would be doing it, man. So it's just not even palatable, and so it's so ridiculous. Right. It's just as ridiculous as them trying to take your guns away. So they say, like they got a list of them. It's like, how many times have you sold those things over and over again? There's 300 million of them running around the country out here somewhere. Okay, you understand the Herculean amount, amount of effort that it would take to actually do this? They couldn't even get the FBI to do it, man.
Right.
So,
Oh yeah. Because especially at that point, you have people that are like, well, all cops are bad. Okay, so, but you also want to make them the largest agency in the country by a wide margin. Because you want them to sweep up the weapons, but they're bad?
That's not, none of this works, man.
No, I totally understand that.
None of this works.
And, of course, the other piece of this is there is a component of this which we all forget.
What's that?
It's that the laws that we do have, okay, and the government that we do have, and the freedoms that we do enjoy, okay, all of this is taken into consideration because of the fact that there are more guns than people in this country. I understand that you're like, well, that's a legislative thing. It's like, yes, you're right. But I guarantee you there are certain considerations that every lawmaker takes into their mind before they try to overreach with certain things.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, especially after COVID. So, oh, my God. Yeah, this fall's election is going to be interesting. So, on all levels. So, on all levels. If you had a mayor who actually did a good job, that dude's basically, like our mayor, I think he's up for he's basically re-guaranteed a job. So, like, he's like, oh, thanks, dude, you didn't fuck it all up. Same thing with the governor. So, the governor's coming up. Election this fall, Republicans are like, oh, we're gonna go after him and stuff like that. He leads them by like fucking 60 basis points. It's crazy how popular he is.
Go after somebody else who didn't look for being
Gavin Newsom. Yeah, who's shockingly popular in the state for some reason.
It's dude, I don't know what to tell you. Like, so I mean, with this here, even if you have like Republican points, if you look at the COVID thing where the guy was like, look, we've taken the precautions we think we can.
Yeah.
we have to leave some of this on you.
Yeah.
Right? Which was an amazingly mature way to look at things, right? And the thing was, how did this work out? Well, we weren't at the bottom of the pile, and we weren't at the top of the pile.
No.
Which is how things are supposed to work.
Right, yeah.
Right?
So there weren't people dying in the streets, and there weren't people rioting in the streets.
That's correct.
It was perfect.
Which is amazing.
Right, yeah. Good governance at its best.
Absolutely. So as a Republican, you can't look at this and say, well, that's not Republican of you. It's say, well, actually, it's decisively Republican of
Oh,
you.
absolutely, yeah.
Right? Yeah, so when it comes down to the COVID fallout, like, you can't use that as an opportunity to attack our governor, right? You could look at other things and say, like, all right, well, this wasn't particularly whatever. Like, all right, I don't care. Nothing big enough for me to say, like, boy, that guy really dropped the ball on this. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a little bit ridiculous. Other states, sure, you can.
Yeah, there'll probably be some.
Plenty of guys that probably need to get churned pretty hard.
Well, I saw it was, what is it, almost getting ready to keep Ho, San Francisco's attorney general, right? Or his district attorney?
Is San Franciscans?
I think have they turned on that?
Well, once they started, like, chucking, like, school board members and stuff, that's a pretty big sign, man.
Are they done with the shit?
They're not done with the shit. There's not a Harry Callahan for mayor sort of thing. Right there.
Oh, that was from that movie. That was from that city.
That was
wasn't
from
it?
San Francisco.
Yeah.
So
Harry Callahan for mayor.
So there's not that, but there is a version of this where I feel like your average Democrat is like, these people do not represent me.
Right, yeah.
Which is how they kind of walked out the door on me.
Right? Yeah.
And my God, dude, in my heyday, like, I was pretty goddamn far left.
I was until my turn's been recently. It's just because doing math. Yeah, I was off on my math for a while. Yeah, and then the left got weird. Ever since George Floyd, it's gotten really fucking weird.
They were weird before then.
I get that, but it was kind of like a fringe weird that was creeping up kind of thing. But like,
they were a noisy weird. They were
after 2016, they got noisy.
Yeah.
So, but it was also like, all right. So I think I like the whole Russia thing. I watched it like the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, this might be a big deal. And I actually watched the first one with Trump's lawyer, and I was like, oh, this is bullshit.
Turns out it was.
This is 100% bullshit. Yeah. Watching Adam Schiff up there, with his weird eyeballs.
Comes with the territory.
Yeah. So,
a lot of you guys are part vampire.
Yeah, he is kind of part vampire. He blinks sideways. Yeah. Oh, that's lizard people.
Those are the lizard people. You don't want to have a discussion.
So, but yeah, after that, and then like I started sitting down and doing the math, and it was like, wait a minute, if that's bullshit, then this might be. Oh, this is bullshit too. Fuck. All right, what else over here is bull? This is bullshit. All right, this whole like narrative that like, fucking half of America is basically impoverished, right? This fucking bullshit. Go do the math.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, all right, fine, I got it. So.
Well,
like, yeah, but like, I don't know how much of that is like the Elon Musk thing, where like the fucking left ran that way, and maybe I'm just still where I kind of was, because I'm certainly not, and still am not in that. I like free market, full blown free market economics, and like the libertarian ideals. They're just they don't work, man. The math on those don't work either, man. And so I'll never be going back there. I was there for a long time.
No, you were.
Yeah.
You weren't. Look, I guess. So my hardcore positions. Here's the thing: is none of that changed. It's just a question of which party are championing things right here. And so, I mean, look. I was one of those dudes catching flack, because that was my thing. Was like, I've been such a free speech honk, like, for the longest time. Remember, I'm the one that said,
yeah.
William used to give me this crap, back then, and of course, he's welcome to it. You know, um, I was the one who would say like,
me.
well, then he's like, well, I'm bigger than you, so shut your mouth permanently.
Shut your mouth.
No, because I remember we had in this argument where I was so against censorship, and I still feel this way. Was I felt that when it came down to like radio play and movies and things like that, I was like, they should never censor those materials. Okay, if the network feels that they can't air it in its entirety, then they don't get to air it, right? And this was all for free speech and integrity.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And William was like, dude, it's fine. They just bleep out the curse words. I'm like, no,
No,
that's
yeah.
not what the artist intended, right?
Right, yeah. No, you've always been big on the artistic intent.
Oh yeah, well, and the same thing, game with whatever the version of speech was. People need to be able to say what this is. I was the one who said, like, I think it should be illegal for companies to fire you for things that you say off the clock.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think they should be allowed to look into your social media footprint or anything like that. Should I've even made the argument that they shouldn't be able to do that if you're on the clock, right? Because
Yeah, see, that's not a hill that I'm going to pick to die on.
no, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's just amazing to me that made me far left.
Did that make
15 years
it did.
ago.
Yeah, 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now it puts me into the, like, oh, free speech means that you want to stand on Nazi ideals. I'm like, well, actually, I don't endorse those things, but people need to be able to say that shit so they get laughed at.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's a position that you've been fairly consistent on. So for a very long time, I remember you and I get in an argument once where I think you were making a case to defend child pornography at one point in time. It was a while ago.
Not the pornography itself, but the offenders, because the issue for me was if this is to be treated as an illness, then we need to rehabilitate people who are in this situation, right?
Okay.
I absolutely don't defend child pornography, but it's like, all right, well, if you're sick, you're sick.
Yeah. It was something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I recall that.
Because I put those same people in the same field as like the sex offense registry.
Yeah.
It's like, how long are we going to, hang this albatross around people's necks?
God, it's forever anymore, man. It's forever. You cannot get out. I've had students over the years have just absolutely maybe in the future labor market where it's so fucking tight that you can get a job doing whatever the fuck you want to do, get paid whatever the fuck you want to get paid.
That's something I was going to talk to you about. Was this was something that had a result as a with a student of mine, right? And she was lamenting. She was on the verge of turning 30.
Okay.
Right. And my joke was like, well, congratulations, you're on the cusp of being able to vote. She's like, what do you mean? 30? I was like, it's like, no, right? 30 is 20.
Yeah.
She's like, how can you say that? I was like, well, these maturity windows that we had, okay, how are you expected to reach those maturity levels when you don't have those same milestones that came with the territory? It's like, look, all you have to do is just go back, since 1950. There's, I think about 11 years added to the average lifespan, right?
Since then?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, if not more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the average, okay?
Yeah, okay.
So that, of course, includes, I'll wash myself with a rag on a stick.
Right, yeah.
Right. So we have people cashing out earlier for that kind of stuff, too. That would have been a oddity in 1950. But, so if people aren't leaving the workforce via retirement and or death, right?
Yeah.
Then how are you expected to reach those same mature milestones when the opportunities aren't there? I was like, so if the average lifespan extends, then adolescence basically gets delayed a little bit because you don't cross that, right?
I've heard that argument. Yeah, Rogan likes to make that argument too, and there's been some like neuroscientists out there and stuff who
Oh,
even
it's a fact.
no, I know it's a fact, but just because your brain doesn't fully mature until you're 25 doesn't mean that you're not ready to pick up a rifle at 18.
Oh, no. What I'm saying
You
here
know,
is
in fact, it's probably better if you do it when you're 18 rather than 25.
probably no, you're making the same argument. It's probably good to have your first shot of rum when you're 15 instead of
Right, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so no, the whole thing on this was just like, look, we all are. It's not a fault. It's not a right or wrong. It's just because they're still in the workforce, right?
Who, the olders?
Yeah,
They're leaving, man.
they're leaving now.
Yeah.
But they were leaving considerably earlier. Basically before it's the way the life is going.
I don't know about that, man. So like Social Security retirement age has never been over 60. So, I mean it's always been at least over 60.
Right.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Right.
Yeah. So, and like the old thing was that retirement wasn't something that you were supposed to lounge around in for 20 years back in the day. It was something that you did for like 10 years, maybe 5, kind of thing.
Or whatever, right? But yeah, that's part of the issue. And I'm not saying that this is an issue. It's just an adjustment, right?
Yeah.
And if there are, and we know this happened. We know this happened post 2008, where people hung in longer than they were going to because of the.
I think that one's an aberration. That one's an anomaly. So
people are going to be working longer as life goes on. Of course they are.
Oh well, maybe. But all the generations after the one that's retiring right now are much smaller.
Oh no! I understand that, right? I definitely understand.
So,
that.
like, what kind of point are you trying to make here? Are you trying to make a point that so because we had to do this when we were 20, and now you're at 30, just because there's been so many people in the workforce, your time entering the workforce at a level of responsibility where we were at has been delayed? Is that what you're saying?
Well, so the argument that I'm making here is that when it comes to there's a mix of biology and there's a mix of responsibility.
Okay.
Right? And if those responsibilities aren't opening up toward you,
Yeah.
right, for even people of your age or generation, then it prolongs adolescence. And it got me thinking less about her situation and more of mine, where it's like, okay, well, myself, Patrick, and my brother can do this because we're all, laptop, workers at this point.
Oh,
right?
Work from home? Yeah.
Yeah. And my whole thought was, with the age level that we crested, I was just thinking about if my dad would have been comfortable working from his computer at the age of 40
No.
and seeing that as like, oh, this is a success. This is cool.
No way. My dad.
I don't know.
My dad would not. So
why?
My dad was a lunch pail. So work was something you went to. So yeah. My dad was not college educated. He was not until way after he retired did he get his degree.
Right.
And so the dude was a machinist lunch pail. So, work was something that you went and did. And if you weren't actually going to work, that wasn't work. I know your pop was an engineer, man. And so like if you're still producing something at that point in time, even if you're doing it from home, that's a little bit different. So my dad's work wasn't based upon like producing anything or creating anything or seeing a project to completion. It was manning the wall.
Look, well, you have to understand that my pop was manning the wall for a while.
No,
so
I understand.
Just, he Mustanged in. But
yeah.
What I can also tell you is Dad would come home, and you can't see this, right, because it's a physical illustration, but this would be, about half inch?
Sure.
Okay. Dad would come home with a half-inch stack of paper like this, right? Do you know what it would be?
What?
These would be vector-based CAD drawings that he had made.
Yeah.
Okay. And the office had made.
Yeah.
Okay. Of Bart Simpson throwing around koosh balls.
Cool.
Why? Because the engineer's office in the Air Force was a gigantic koosh ball war.
Right. Yeah.
At all times. And this is so there's a part of him where it's like, Dad, you all are designing the satellites that are, melting Russians with a magnifying glass from space.
Like ants. They are ants, Michael.
But the greater majority of your time was throwing the koosh balls and then illustrating your koosh ball wars like fucking cave paintings, right?
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that was like, if my dad were my age, would this even be like, oh, well, these are great opportunities, or it's like, this is an abomination. This is...
My dad would be that way. And I can tell you that because my mom feels that way.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. So when my brother and I, well, more so when he was actually working from home for a while, now that he's back in the office full time, there's just something more respectable in her eyes about the kind of work that he does.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. And then she asked me all the time, well, what'd you do today? He was like, did you have classes to teach? Did you do this and do this? And she asked me the same fucking questions.
Yeah.
Just about every week, okay? Even though the answers never change. So, but I can just tell that she's got this impression in her mind that I basically sit on the couch and watch TV all day and I'm a lazy slob. So...
That's part of it. But it's not... I'm working, you're working.
No, I understand that. She'll never understand it, though, man. I cannot make it clear to her because it's not like what my dad did. All right?
5-minute warning.
Dad gets up at 5:30. She makes him a bacon sandwich. He's out of the door by 6:15. Okay? He comes home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
All right? Usually with a bottle of wine. All right? So he comes home. All right? He does like a little bit of putzing around the house before it's time to make dinner. And then we watch Jeopardy.
Right.
Okay, that's work. Okay? What I do is not work, as far as she's concerned. But you gotta understand, my mom's even older generation than your parents are, man. So both my parents were born before World War II. So they're not boomers, man,
Right.
So but
only by the most technical definition.
only by the most technical definition, all those definitions are bullshit anyway. All right, but like when work wasn't work unless you actually go to work. So, and you're supposed to do it for a set amount of time every day. And if you do it for more than that, you make a little bit extra money,
Right.
So, or you sign up for overtime or something like that because you want to build a shed. So,
oh, that shit.
Yeah, oh, the shed. Yeah, the shed.
Never the solution.
But that's work. And so I guarantee you my mom does not see what I do as work. So it's like basically, I guess I steal money from the university.
Well,
so,
if she weren't so crass as we are, would she say, like, you're just fucking around?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom wouldn't say that.
No, my mom wouldn't say that, but I know that, so, it's like, she's old school enough where there's, like, a certain level of disappointment that she has in both of her sons. Okay? She has recognized me as being a little bit lazier than what's good for me. And then my brother's a little bit grouchier than what's good for him. So,
Show me on your fingers what's your definition of little.
Nah.
I'd like
These are two hands, yeah.
I would like to submit for evidence to those who can't see what we're doing that Patrick couldn't do that with 2 fingers.
No.
He needed his hands to emphasize the grumpiness. I don't know. So, like, I haven't caught any specific flack for it, right? And I guess
I will tell you that the students that I have that are graduating now or have graduated just recently, they don't want to work like you and I work.
What do they want to do?
They want to go to the office. So every last one of them.
They just want to meet girls.
I was so shocked when not all of them. So
because they are girls.
Right, yeah. So, but then also, like, what it is like, it was like, well, I don't know what it means to work. It's like, I don't have any, like, work experience. I don't understand what it means to be a punch clock or to have a boss or...
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking... Those are the maturity markers that I was talking about, right? Is you can't cross, like, adolescence, right? Until you have that, like, I'm supervised shit.
Yeah.
Where, like, it's almost the dream that you had, like, a journeyman apprentice master
kind of
relationship for a little bit, because you have somebody that's watching you. It's like,
yeah,
you're ready.
Yeah, that's part of it, but here's the deal: is all of those guys are going to get that way faster than we did. So
All
it's
right.
with supervisory skills, absolutely. I guarantee you, the students that I see graduating now are getting jobs that it took me 10 years to even sniff. So it's crazy. It's crazy how white hot the job market is out there, man.
Oh, you
So,
mean right this
oh,
minute?
absolutely.
Okay.
And so if you have a student
What if I
who's
said that
30,
3 years ago?
it was getting there 3 years ago. If you said that right right before the pandemic hit, it was probably a little bit more true than it was maybe a year later. But like right now, um, like the numbers just came out, what is it, yesterday? It's already back to where it was pre-pandemic, and it's pointing down. So in terms of unemployment, going even lower coming up here in the next like 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and so like if your student is like concerned about like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Oh no, no.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't
All right.
that. It was. I can't believe I'm turning 30.
Oh, I wish I was 30.
It's like, well, you're not.
You're not.
You're
Yeah.
really turning 20.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know though about that anymore though, man.
Because what I'd say to you, and this was the thing here was, I feel like there's no way that my dad would have been fucking around with this kind of things that I am at my age.
I know exactly what my dad would be doing at my age. So same thing he did the previous 10 years and for the next 20. So
Sort of what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Like, I don't think that there's. Your dad would have been like, Legos, no,
No.
don't buy this.
Yeah.
Like, what's a Steam account?
Right. Yeah. No.
Does that cost money?
Right. Yeah. No. It's like we can't afford that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's like you can go get a job, then you can afford it. So
Hey, you're just trying to convince us. No, Dad.
no,
It's
Dad.
13 CDs for a penny, and then I just have to buy one
Right. Yeah.
every
You're gonna
year.
lick all these stickers, man.
So that
All right, we're at $1.30.
that is exactly it. So if you have final thoughts, get them out now. Forever hold your peace. We didn't talk about. I guess we're next time around. Look forward to talking about foods that.
Oh, things I can't eat anymore.
Could you give us a preview?
Cheetos.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Cheetos.
Oh man, they're
There you go.
bad. All right, hitting the button.
All right.
So I'm Pat.
I'm Jeffrey.
See you guys.